Imagine a job interview, not in some distant chrome-plated future, but tomorrow, next week. You're sitting in a room that's aggressively baked. The air is still and smells faintly of industrial carpet cleaner and quiet desperation. Across a polished forward table, a hiring manager offers a thin, professional smile. She hasn't looked at your resume. She hasn't asked about your experience, your passions, your carefully crafted 5-year plan. Instead, she slides a small, sterile tray across the table. On it rests a single-use lancet and a microsampler no bigger than a grain of rice. Whenever you're ready, she says, her voice a practiced, neutral hum. Her eyes don't meet yours. They're fixed on the tablet propped up on her desk, waiting for a number. A single, definitive number that will tell her everything she needs to know. More than you could ever tell her. What if this became our world? What if the slow, messy, deeply human process of judging one another through conversation, through reputation, through shared history was replaced by something clean, simple, and utterly brutal? A number, a score, derived from the deepest, most unchangeable part of you, your DNA. Hello, and welcome to Divergence Point. It's good to have you here. Find a comfortable spot, pour yourself a drink, whatever time it is where you are. I'm glad we can share this space for a little while. If you enjoy these late-night thought experiments, consider subscribing. It lets me know you're out there thinking along with me. Tonight, we're not going to talk about flying cars or colonies on Mars. We're going to talk about something much closer to home, something simmering in labs right now in places like Cambridge and Silicon Valley. It's a technology born from the incredible promise of CRISPR gene editing, but twisted by something far more powerful, human nature. The story begins with something called a polygenic score. It's a real thing. You can look it up. Right now, scientists can use these scores to estimate your genetic predisposition for certain complex traits or diseases. By analyzing thousands of tiny variations in your DNA, they can get a surprisingly clear picture of your potential risks for things like heart disease or breast cancer. The cost of this technology is plummeting. A test that might have cost a fortune a decade ago could soon be as cheap and routine as a blood pressure check. The global market for CRISPR-based technologies is already valued in the billions and is projected to grow exponentially. It's a medical revolution, and it's happening on our watch. But here's the divergence point. The what if. What if we didn't stop at disease? Human beings have an obsession with ranking things. Ourselves, especially. We invented standardized tests, credit scores, social media metrics, flimsy proxies for measuring a person's worth. We're always looking for a simpler, faster way to decide who belongs where, who gets the job, who gets the loan, who gets the corner office. So what happens when the cost of sequencing a full genome becomes trivial and the predictive power of polygenic scores moves beyond medicine? What if it starts to measure things like cognitive aptitude, emotional resilience, propensity for creative thinking, or, more darkly, for compliance, for obedience? Our story isn't about the technology, it's about the bureaucracy that would inevitably wrap itself around it. Imagine a new government agency. Let's call it the Ministry of Potentiality, a bland, reassuring name for something terrifying. Its mandate is simple: to create a more efficient, stable, and productive society by ensuring everyone is placed where they genetically belong. It starts as a voluntary program, of course, a guidance tool for career counseling, a way to help young people find their natural calling. But corporations, always chasing efficiency, are the first to make it a quiet requirement. Then insurance companies start offering incentives for policyholders who share their scores. The pressure builds, soft and suffocating. Soon, you can't get a mortgage, a decent school for your kids, or even a premium subscription to a streaming service without a registered score. It becomes the ultimate resume, the ultimate social signifier, your entire life condensed into a percentile. Are you in the 98th percentile for spatial reasoning? Congratulations, the orbital engineering program is eager to have you. The 45th for stress tolerance. Management track is probably not for you. Have you considered a role in archival services? This is the visceral reality, not a world of genetic supermen, but a world drowning in paperwork. a world of soul-crushing administrative precision. The horror isn't a sudden apocalyptic event. It's the slow, creeping dread of being measured, sorted, and filed away. It's the quiet anxiety of knowing that your entire future was decided by a blood test you took when you were 5 years old. Admit it. A part of you would be tempted, wouldn't you? In a world of uncertainty, the promise of a single number that tells you who you are, what you're meant to be. It's a powerful siren song, a way to finally know if you have what it takes. But what happens when the number comes back and it's not what you hoped for? What does it feel like in the quiet of your own mind to be officially, scientifically, irrevocably average, or worse, to be stamped from birth as super? That's the line where the real story begins. The line where human ingenuity, desperation, and the timeless art of cheating the system kicks in, because no matter how perfect the system, people will always find the cracks. What kind of black market would emerge from a world obsessed with genetic purity? Let's get specific. Let's talk about the day the number arrives. It isn't delivered by a cold, faceless bureaucrat. That would be too honest. No, the Ministry of Potentiality is a master of soft power. The results are delivered through an app, the same app you use to pay your taxes and renew your driver's license. It's designed to feel as normal as checking your bank balance, but it's anything but normal. In the early days, they called it Reading Day. It became a quiet, private ritual in every household with a child turning 5. The notification would arrive at a prescribed time, 9 a.m., coordinated universal time, a sterile bit of global standardization. For a few agonizing hours, a wave of silent anxiety would ripple across the planet, time zone by time zone. You're there. You're in your kitchen. The coffee's brewing. The morning light is cutting across the floor. Everything is aggressively, painfully normal. But your phone is face down on the counter, a dark, silent slab of glass that holds your child's entire future. You and your partner exchange glances. No words are needed. You've had the conversations, the whispered hopes and fears in the dark. You've told each other 1,000 times that the number doesn't matter, that you'll love them no matter what. You're both lying. Of course, not about the love, but about the number. It matters more than anything. This is the system's first, most brilliant cruelty. It doesn't impose itself with force. It co-opts the most powerful force in nature, a parent's ambition for their child. You want the best for them. The best schools, the best opportunities, the safest neighborhoods. And the ministry, with its gentle, algorithmic hand, has now defined what best means and who deserves it. So you pick up the phone, your thumb hovers over the notification, your heart is a cold, tight knot in your chest. This isn't just a test result. It's an unboxing video for a human being. You're a human being. You tap the screen. Biometric scan. A loading wheel spins for a fraction of a second in eternity. And then the numbers appear. It's not a single score. It's a dashboard, a beautiful, user-friendly interface designed by some of the best minds in Silicon Valley to deliver potentially devastating news in the most palatable way possible. There are pleasing pastels, friendly fonts, and encouraging little icons. There's a neurocognitive index, 78th percentile, good, strong. Even a wave of relief washes over you. That's University Trek Easily Somatic Resilience Profile, 92nd percentile. Excellent. Low disease markers, high probability of longevity. You feel a surge of pride, as if you'd personally coached their mitochondria to victory. But then you see the other metrics, the ones they don't talk about in the glossy brochures. Social compliance predictor, 61st percentile. A little low. The algorithm flags a tendency towards adversarial ideation. In the old world, you'd call that having a personality. In this world, it's a liability. And then there it is, the one you were really afraid of. The integrated potentiality score, the big one. The number that averages everything out, weights it against the needs of the economy, and spits out a final holistic judgment. Your child's score, 54th percentile. The screen offers a helpful, color-coded summary, a strong candidate for vocations in logistics, advanced manufacturing, and resource management. Displays aptitude for structured, team-oriented environments. It doesn't say not leadership material. It doesn't say destined for middle management at best. It doesn't have to. The number does all the talking. 54th percentile, just a little bit better than average, just good enough to be a reliable cog in the machine, not good enough to design it. And in that moment, something inside you breaks. The infinite, boundless future you imagined for your child, the one where they could be anything. Do anything collapses into a neat, predictable, and deeply disappointing bell curve. The love is still there. Of course it is. But now, it's tinged with something new. Pity, and a cold, terrifying grief for a life they haven't even lived yet. This is the real horror of the system. It's not the jackbooted thugs kicking down your door. It's the quiet, smiling technician in a lab coat who hands you a tablet and says, "Congratulations, your son has the genetic markers of a very dependable forklift operator." It's the utter banality of the bureaucracy. The way it strips you of your dreams with the polite indifference of a customer service chatbot. We traded the chaos of the genetic lottery for the cold certainty of a spreadsheet, and we called it progress. It's a cynical thought, I know, but look where we are. Tell me, honestly, what percentile do you think you'd be? Would you even want to know? The silence in the kitchen is deafening. The coffee is getting cold. Your partner is staring out the window, their shoulders slumped. Your child is in the other room, playing with blocks, completely unaware that their life has just been carefully, irrevocably mapped out for them. The system has given you its verdict, a life sentence of adequacy. The only question left is, what are you willing to do to appeal it? A life sentence of adequacy. You let that phrase settle in your mind for a week, it haunts you. You see it in the way your child struggles with a complex puzzle. You hear it in the teacher's blandly encouraging progress report. Shows consistent effort. You start to see the number 54 everywhere. On license plates, on street signs, on the price of groceries. It's a ghost at the dinner table. Desperation is a quiet, corrosive thing. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It finds you in the dead of night and tells you that you are failing, not the system. You failed to give your child the right combination of 11. You are the source of their mediocrity. And so you start looking for an appeal, not through the ministry's official channels. Those are a joke, a bureaucratic maze designed to exhaust you into submission. No, you search in the places where polite society doesn't look. Encrypted forums, invitation-only chat rooms. You learn the new language of dissent. Words like recalibration, sample, purification, data integrity services. It's all couched in the sterile language of IT support. But you know what it really means. Cheating. The appointment is in a part of the city you've never been to. It's not a grimy back alley. That's for amateurs. This is a high-end, discreet medical building, all brushed steel and smoked glass. The clinic's name is something forgettable and vaguely positive, like the Darwin Wellness Group or Pinnacle Human Analytics. Inside, the air smells of money and ozone. The receptionist's smile is a little too bright, a little too perfect. You have a sudden, chilling thought. What's her score? 95 TH, 98 TH. You are led into a consultation room that feels more like a luxury lounge than a doctor's office. Soft leather chairs, a single perfect orchid on a glass table. The man who enters is not a doctor. He calls himself a portfolio manager. He's dressed in an impeccably tailored suit, and his voice is a soothing baritone. He doesn't talk about breaking the law. He talks about unlocking potential and correcting for statistical noise. He explains the process with the reassuring tone of a financial advisor discussing investment strategies. The ministry's samplers, he tells you, are incredibly precise, but they are not and their central algorithm has biases. It favors certain genetic combinations that are currently in vogue with the market. His job, he says, is to help you present your child's data in the most favorable light. There are tiers of service. For a modest fee, they can run your child's sample through their own private analysis, looking for dormant markers of high potential that the ministry's algorithm might have overlooked. They can then file a data challenge, flooding the system with enough supplementary evidence to potentially nudge the score up a few crucial points. It's the genetic equivalent of SAT prep, but you're not here for that. You're not here to nudge. You're here for the other service. The one that I sent on the menu. The portfolio manager's eyes never leave yours. He senses your desperation. It's his primary diagnostic tool. He leans forward, his voice dropping to an intimate, conspiratorial whisper. He tells you about their premier service, sample augmentation. It's simple, really. They take your child's blood sample, and then they introduce a second sample. A clean one. A sample sourced from a carefully vetted hypercentile donor. A ghost in the machine. It's not a full replacement, that would be too risky, too easy to detect. It's a blend. Just enough to confuse the sequencers, to introduce ambiguity. The goal isn't to create a perfect 99th percentile score, but to trigger a system error. A null reading. When the system gets a result, it can't parse. It's programmed to default to a retest. And that's when you have your second chance. Maybe the atmospheric pressure in the lab is different that day. Maybe the calibration of the machine is off by a millionth of a depth. Maybe your child just gets lucky. It's a long shot. A desperate, expensive gamble. But it's better than 54. It's just optimization, right? The same way parents have always gamed the system. Hiring tutors, moving to better school districts, donating to universities. This is just the next most logical step. You're not a criminal. You're a parent. He slides a tablet across the table. The price is staggering. It's your savings. It's your retirement. It's a second mortgage on your home. You look at the number, and then you think of your child forever filed under logistics and resource management. You pick up the stylus. Your hand is shaking, but your signature is firm. The procedure itself is anticlimactic. A nurse with a kind, empty face draws a vial of your child's blood. She leaves the room for exactly 90 seconds. When she returns, she has a new, identical vial. She places it in a biohazard bag, seals it with an official-looking sticker, and hands it to you. This is the sample you will submit for the mandatory 10-year scholastic review. You walk out of the clinic into the afternoon sun. The city sounds muted, distant. You are holding a lie in a little plastic bag. A tiny, fragile rebellion against the tyranny of the bell curve. You've done it. You've corrupted the data. Now you just have to wait and pray the system doesn't notice. For a few months, there is silence. A beautiful, terrifying silence. You submitted the corrupted sample for the 10-year review, and the universe did not immediately implode. No alarms went off. No black cars appeared on your street. You check the ministry app every single day. Your thumb swiping down on the screen with a compulsive twitch. The score still reads 54th percentile, awaiting decennial review. Nothing has changed. You almost allow yourself to breathe. You start to construct a narrative in your mind, a story where you are the hero. The clever parent who outsmarted the system, who fought for their child's future. You tell yourself it was the right thing to do. You repeat it like a mantra before you fall asleep at night. The lie becomes a dull ache, a background noise you can almost ignore. Almost the first notice arrives on a Tuesday morning. It's not a letter with a red stamp. It's not a summons. It's an email. The subject line is aggressively mundane, action required. Your dependence data integrity file. Your blood turns to ice. You open it with trembling hands. The text is a masterpiece of corporate non-language. It thanks you for your continued partnership in building a more harmonious society. It speaks of routine algorithmic audits and ensuring the highest fidelity of predictive analytics. Buried in the third paragraph is the sentence that matters. A statistical anomaly was detected during the preliminary sequencing of sample ID 7B419. The sampler has been flagged for a Tier 2 manual review. A flag, a tiny digital yellow flag planted in the heart of your child's life by an algorithm you will never meet. It's not an accusation. It's worse. It's a question mark. The system isn't angry with you. It's just ... curious, and its curiosity is boundless and infinitely patient. This is where the real psychological horror begins. It's not the fear of the known, but the dread of the unknown. The portfolio manager at the clinic had warned you about this in Key's smooth, reassuring way. The system is designed to reject messy data. he'd said. Our goal is simply to introduce enough noise to force a reroll, a second chance. But what if you didn't create noise? What if you created a signal, a beacon in the data that screams, something here is wrong? Your home is no longer a sanctuary. It's a crime scene. Every interaction with your child becomes an interrogation. You watch them scrutinizing their every move, their every word. You're looking for proof? Proof that they are more than a 54. You push them harder on their homework. You sign them up for extracurricular activities, the HS club, quantum physics for kids, anything that screams high potential. You are trying to build a case to create a life that matches the lie you submitted. You are no longer a parent. You are a stage manager for a performance that can never, ever end. The paranoia is a physical thing. It sits on your chest, making it hard to breathe. You start to see the ministry everywhere. Is the mailman watching your house? Did the cashier at the grocery store hold your gaze for a second too long? Her score was probably a clean 85. She can see right through you. She knows you don't belong here. Admit it. Have you ever told a lie that got so big, so out of control, that you started to forget what the original truth even was? You look at your child, and for a terrifying split second, you can't see them. You can only see the number. The one you have, and the one you want. Then comes the second email. 2 weeks after the first, the subject line is even more benign. Follow-up regarding your case file. The Tier 2 manual review, it informs you, has been completed. The anomaly persists. Therefore, the case has been escalated. To resolve the data conflict and ensure an accurate final score, the email states, we will require a simple, non-invasive procedure. We need to schedule an appointment for a familial confirmation sample. They want your blood and your partner's. It's a checkmate. A quiet, elegant, bureaucratic checkmate. They're not accusing you of anything. They're just following procedure. They're going to run your DNA and your partner's DNA to create a baseline genetic profile, a parental average. And when your child's augmented sample doesn't match that profile, when it shows genetic markers that could not possibly have come from you, the game is over. The system didn't send soldiers. It sent a calendar invitation. You're sitting in your kitchen, the same kitchen where you first got the news of that damning 54th percentile. The morning light is cutting across the floor. Everything is aggressively, painfully normal. And you have a choice to make. Do you confess? Do you run? Or do you show up for the appointment? Smile politely and let them prove with scientific certainty that you are a liar and a fraud. You go to the appointment. Of course you do. Where would you run? In a world where your very biology is your ID card, there are no uncharted territories. To be off the grid is to be a ghost, and you're not ready for that. Not yet. You cling to the flimsy hope that it's all a mistake. Glitch. A bad dream you can wake up from if you just perform the rituals of compliance perfectly. The Ministry of Potentiality doesn't have a headquarters that looks like a fortress. That would be too theatrical, too honest about its power. It's located in a sprawling, anonymous corporate park on the edge of the city, nestled between the regional headquarters for a logistics company and a data processing center. It's a building you could drive past 1,000 times and never notice. It's a monument to the power of beige. The waiting room is a masterclass in psychological warfare. The chairs are spaced just far enough apart to make conversation awkward. The art on the walls is a series of algorithmically generated, vaguely inspirational landscapes. There's a water cooler, but no cups. A children's play area, but no toys. Every detail is designed to communicate one thing: you are not a guest here. You are a data point to be processed. Other families are there too. You don't make eye contact, but you feel a grim kinship with them. The same forced smiles, the same jerky, anxious movements. You're all members of the same silent, shameful club. The parents of the flagged. A man in a gray suit calls your family's number. Not your name, your number. He leads you down a long, white corridor to a small, windowless room. He introduces himself as an integrity auditor. He has a pleasant, forgettable face and the weary eyes of a man who has seen every possible permutation of human desperation. He doesn't accuse you of anything. He just follows a script. He asks you to confirm your identities on a tablet. He reads a long, legalistic disclosure about data privacy and the penalties for submitting false information. His voice is a monotone drone, designed to lull you into a state of passive submission. He's not a monster. He's worse. He's a functionary, a human checkbox. He probably has a score in the low 60s, just high enough to be trusted with the paperwork, just low enough to ensure he never questions it. He lays out 3 sterile kits on the small table between you, one for your partner, one for your child. It feels like a sacrament, a dark communion. He turns to your child first, his smile practiced in hollow. "This will just be a little pinch," he says. The same lie told the children for centuries. You want to scream, you want to snatch your child away to tell this bland, gray man that he has no right. But you do nothing. You just sit there, paralyzed, a willing participant in your own destruction. You watch the lancet prick the tiny finger. You watch the single, perfect drop of red blood well up and get absorbed by the sampler. And in that moment, you realize the trap was never about the lie. The system knew. It always knew. The trap was about seeing if you would be stupid enough to walk into this room and confirm it. He takes your sample next, then your partner's. He places the 3 samplers into a small, humming desktop sequencer on his desk. "This will just take a moment," he says, folding his hands on the desk. The system just needs to triangulate the parental markers against the dependence file to resolve the flag. Triangulate, such a clean, clinical word for tearing a family apart. The machine whirs. On the auditor's monitor, lines of code scroll past. A language you can't understand but whose meaning you feel in the pit of your stomach. The seconds stretch into an eternity. You can hear your own heartbeat, a frantic, panicked drum against the silence of the room. You find yourself staring at your partner. Their face is a pale, drawn mask. Are they thinking the same thing you are? Are they replaying the conversation with the portfolio manager? Calculating the exact moment when foolish hope curdled into catastrophic error? The machine stops. A single line of green text appears on the auditor's screen. He looks at it. His expression doesn't change. Not really, but something in his posture shifts. A subtle straightening of the spine. The weary functionary is gone, replaced by something colder, more alert. He types a few commands into his keyboard, clears his throat. He looks up, but he doesn't look at you. He looks at your child, a long, appraising, and deeply unsettling look. Then his eyes shift back to the screen. He swivels it slightly so you can see it's a genealogical chart, a family tree rendered in clean, glowing lines. Your DNA and your partner's DNA are on top. Below them, a line connects to a box representing your child. But there's a problem. From your child's box, there's a second dotted line branching off to a third, unnamed box. A ghost in the machine. A genetic echo of a person who is not in this room. The auditor finally turns his gaze to you. His voice is flat, devoid of emotion. It is the voice of the system itself. The parental confirmation is inconclusive, he says, the pause hanging in the air like a blade. We have no record of the second paternal donor. Can you tell me who he is? Can you tell me who he is? He did not raise his voice. He did not lean forward. He simply asked the question, a sterile, procedural inquiry. And in doing so, he detonated a bomb in the center of your life. Your head snaps toward your partner. In their eyes, you don't see confusion. You don't see anger, not yet. You see something far more terrible, a flicker of calculation, a mind frantically racing through years of memories, searching for a gap, a lie, a moment of suspicion that this new, impossible data point might explain. This system hasn't just accused you of fraud, it has handed your spouse a loaded gun and pointed it directly at your heart. This is the system's masterpiece of cruelty. It found the anomaly, the ghost in your child's machine, but it didn't interpret it as a sophisticated, high-tech crime. Why would it? That's complicated. That requires investigation. This cease thing is above all else lazy. It prefers the simplest explanation. And what's simpler? What's more timelessly, tragically human than infidelity? It's a story the algorithm understands, a story it can neatly file away. You open your mouth to speak, but what words could possibly come out? There is no other man. I paid a criminal to splice our child's DNA with a high-scoring strangers to trick your system. Say it out loud in your head. Listen to how insane it sounds. It's the kind of desperate, convoluted lie a guilty person would invent. You have been placed in a position where the truth is less believable than the accusation. The integrity auditor just watches. He doesn't need to say another word. He has created a feedback loop of suspicion and paranoia right here in this tiny, windowless room. He is a catalyst. He has introduced a variable and is now simply observing the chemical reaction. He's probably taken notes for a report. Subjects exhibited elevated heart rates and intrafamilial distrust. The model is working with 98.7% efficiency. Your partner finally speaks. Their voice is a dry whisper. What is he talking about? It's not a question. It's a demand, and you have no answer that will not destroy you. The auditor, sensing the moment is right, clears his throat. He pivots. The investigation is over. The sentencing is about to begin. The discrepancy in the data is a Class 1 integrity violation, he says, his voice regaining its bureaucratic drone. He's just reading from a script again. Regardless of the source of the anomalous genetic material, the fact remains that the sample submitted for the decennial review was not an authentic representation of the dependent. He's giving you an out, a horrible, poisonous life raft. He's implicitly saying, I don't care about your messy personal lives. I just care about the paperwork. As of this moment, he continues, his eyes fixed on his monitor, your family's potentiality portfolio is frozen. All associated scores are suspended, pending resolution. Suspended. Another clean, simple word for something catastrophic. You know what it means. Your access to credit is gone. Your priority status for civic services is revoked. Your employment, which is likely contingent on a minimum score for your security clearance, is now in jeopardy. In the space of 30 seconds, you have become a non-person, a ghost in your own life. Psychological claustrophobia is suffocating. You are trapped in this room, trapped in this lie, trapped in a future that is shrinking to the size of a prison cell. The auditor slides a tablet across the table. On the screen is a digital form. At the top, in stark, official lettering, it reads, Form 7 to C. Acknowledgement of genetic fraud. You have two options, he says, his voice devoid of any inflection. Option 1, you can contest the findings. This will trigger a full spectrum forensic audit. We will sequence the genomes of your extended family. We will analyze your digital history, your financial records, everything. We will find the source of the anomaly. I assure you. His gaze flickers to your partner, then back to you. The threat is unspoken, but clear. We will tear your life apart, piece by piece, until we have the truth. And we will broadcast that truth to the world. Or, he says, tapping the tablet, there is option 2. You sign the acknowledgement. You accept the charge of genetic fraud. There will be penalties, of course. A significant fine. A permanent downgrade to your family's potentiality ceiling. Your child will be assigned a provisional score, a 20th percentile baseline, and will be subject to annual integrity audits until the age of 18. He lets that sink in. A 20th percentile. A life sentence, not just of mediocrity, but of struggle. A permanent underclass. But he adds, and here is the poisoned bait. The inquiry into the source of the anomaly will be closed. The file will be sealed. He is offering you a choice. Confess to a crime you did commit to avoid being destroyed by an accusation you can't disprove. Save your family from public annihilation by accepting its private ruin. He pushes the stylus across the table. The choice, he says, is yours. The stylus lies on the table between you. It is a cheap piece of plastic, probably costing less than $1 to manufacture. And it is the most powerful object in the universe. It holds 2 futures in its stupid, molded tip. Both of them are hell. Your mind, panicked animal in a cage, runs down the first path. Option 1, contest the findings. You picture it. Men and women like the auditor, but with sharper eyes and colder smiles, entering your home. Not with a warrant, but with a release form you'd be forced to sign. They would take your computers, your phones, your photo albums. They would interview your parents, asking about their genetic history with a veneer of polite concern. They would talk to your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. Questions would be subtle, indirect. Did you ever notice any inconsistencies in their story? Any unexplained absences? Any private friendships? They would be hunting for the ghost, the second paternal donor. And in doing so, they would create him. They would plant a seed of doubt that would grow like a cancer, poisoning every relationship you have. Your partner sitting beside you right now, a statue carved from ice, would they ever look at you the same way again? Every argument for the rest of your life would have this new dark undertone. Every unexplained credit card charge, every late night at the office would be a piece of evidence. And the whole time, you would know the truth. You would know that you are innocent of the crime they are investigating, a crime the system itself invented. You'd be screaming on the inside, a silent, hysterical scream, while they calmly and methodically dismantled your life in search of a fiction. It would be a public execution by 1,000 paper cuts. Your gaze shifts back to the tablet, option to sign the confession. You imagine this future too. It is not a violent explosion. It is a slow, quiet suffocation. Your child, forever branded with a 20th percentile. You see them in the schoolyard, relegated to the vocational track classes. You see the polite, pitying smiles of other parents. You see the doors of opportunity closing, one by one, with a soft, final click. A life of being overlooked. A life of being managed, never managing. A life where their greatest ambition must be to become a reliable, invisible part of someone else's machine. You see the annual integrity audits. Every year, this room, this man, this question, a yearly pilgrimage to renew your family's shame. You see the fines, the debt, the second-tier housing, the low-priority healthcare. It is not a life of poverty. The system is too clever for that. Poverty breeds revolution. No, this is a life of permanent, inescapable, soul-crushing disadvantage. A life where you are always one step behind, always looking up from below. This is the diabolical genius of the system. It doesn't need walls or guards. It has created a prison of the mind, a prison of statistics, and it has handed you the key. It has made your own parental instinct the warden, which is worse. To have your child watch your family be torn apart by a public lie, or to sentence them to a life in a cage you locked yourself. You look at your child. They are tracing patterns on the leg of the chair with their finger, bored, oblivious. They are pure potential. A universe of infinite possibilities currently humming away in a bland, gray room. But the universe is about to collapse into a single, fixed point. You have to choose which point. And in that moment of horrifying clarity, you understand the first option, the audit, is chaos. It is unpredictable. It is public. It puts the blame, the shame, the suspicion on you and your partner. The second option is orderly. It's contained. It assigns the penalty not to the parent's relationship, but to the child's potential. It directs the punishment downwards onto the next generation, where it can be managed by the system for decades to come. You are being asked to choose between your own survival and your child's future. And like every parent since the dawn of time, you make the only choice you can. You choose to sacrifice your child to save them. Your hand reaches out. Your fingers close around the cheap plastic of the stylus. It feels cold, heavy. Your partner makes a small sound, choked gasp. It could be protest. It could be relief. You don't look. You can't. You bring the tip of the stylus to the screen. You sign the name that is no longer truly yours. The motion is smooth, practiced, automatic. The signature looks perfect. The signature of a compliant citizen. The signature of a person who has just murdered a future. You lift the stylus. The transaction is complete. The auditor takes the tablet, his expression unchanged. He taps the screen a few times. "Thank you for your cooperation," he says. "The file is now closed. You will receive a notification regarding the new payment schedule for the fine within 7 business days. The file is closed. Your life is over. It's just that your body hasn't been notified yet. The walk back to the car is a silent 3-person funeral procession. You, your partner, your child, each of you trapped in a separate, invisible bubble of reality. Your child's bubble is filled with the simple, urgent concerns of a child. Boredom, the vague promise of a snack, the texture of the carpet. Yours and your partner's, yours are filled with the sound of cracking ice. You click your seatbelts into place. The sound is unnervingly loud, a final, mechanical locking of the cage. You put the car in reverse. You pull out of the parking space. You drive. The conversation you should be having is a screaming match. It's accusations and tears and the shattering of plates. It's the raw, messy, painful business of betrayal and fear. But you have none of that. You have something far worse. Silence. A dense, weaponized silence that fills the small space of the car and presses the air from your lungs. You stare at the road ahead, your knuckles white on the steering wheel. Your partner stares out the passenger window, watching the identical beige corporate buildings slide by as if searching for an answer in the flawless, soulless architecture. You are no longer a husband and wife. You are co-conspirators in a crime you can never speak of, shackled together by a lie that has taken on a life of its own. The system didn't just punish you, it rewired you. It took the messy, complex, resilient bond of a family and replaced it with the brittle, silent paranoia of a spy cell. Who will break first? Who will carry the guilt? Who will secretly resent the other for the choice they were both forced to make? You risk a glance in the rearview mirror. Your child is humming quietly in the back seat, playing with a small toy. They look happy, they look Sophie, and a wave of nausea hits you so hard you have to grip the wheel tighter. You did this for them. You sacrificed their future to protect them from the fallout of your ambition. You have become the monster to save them from the monster. Does that make you a hero or a coward? Or are they, in the end, the same thing? Your partner finally speaks. Their voice is flat, brittle. It's the voice of a stranger. So that's it. And then it's not a question. It's a statement of fact. An epitaph for the life you had this morning. You don't know how to answer, so you just nod, your eyes fixed on the traffic ahead. What could you say? I'm sorry I destroyed our lives by trying to give our child a better one. I'm sorry, the system's a perfect engine of psychological torture and we were its latest test subjects. All words are meaningless now. Only the signature has meaning. Only the 20th percentile has meaning. They are quiet for another long mile. Then, with the same deadened voice, they ask the question that has been hanging between you since the auditor said the words second paternal donor. Who do you think they'll think it was? And there it is. The poison delivered with surgical precision. They are not asking you if you cheated. That would be an act of faith, a request for reassurance. They are asking you to participate in the fiction. They are accepting the system's premise and asking you to help them build the story that will allow them to survive it. Your lie has become their reality. Because the alternative that you gambled their entire family on a black market gene edit is simply too insane to contemplate. You have become a stranger in your own home. A foreign agent whose motives are now permanently suspect. You pull into your driveway. The house looks the same. The lawn needs mowing. A neighbor waves as they get their mail. It is a perfect tableau of suburban normality, but you feel like you're looking at it through a thick plate of glass. This is not your home anymore. It's your assigned holding cell, a place where you will serve out your sentence day by quiet, desperate day. You turn off the engine. The silence that rushes in is heavier than before. In the back, your child pipes up, their voice a bell of perfect, heartbreaking innocence. Can we still get ice cream? You close your eyes. You picture the auditor's face, his bland, forgettable features, his weary, all-knowing eyes. You realize now that he was never the monster. He was just a priest, administering the last rites. The monster is the system itself, a vast, indifferent algorithm that has perfected the art of making people condemn themselves. You and your partner are its greatest success story. You didn't just sign the confession, you accepted the premise. You are now the enforcers of your own punishment, the auditors of your own family's integrity. The auditor was gone, but the audit, the audit had just begun, and it would last for the rest of your lives. The years that follow are not a story. They are a routine, a long, slow grind of quiet humiliations. The system, having passed its sentence, now acts with a relentless, impersonal patience of erosion. You learn the new social map of your city. It's invisible, but it's more real than any road. There is the priority lane on the freeway that your car is no longer authorized to use. There are the grocery stores with premium aisles that reject your payment method with a polite, discreet chime. Item not authorized for sub-30 accounts. The screen flashes just for a second, but the person behind you in line saw it. They always see it. They look away quickly, a flicker of pity and relief in their eyes. Relief that it's you, not them. This is how the system maintains control. Not with fences, but with inconvenience. Not with violence, but with shame. It's a quiet, bloodless form of social engineering, and frankly, it's a work of art. The most intense moments are the quietest. The annual parent-teacher conferences. The teacher, a well-meaning woman with a comfortable 75th percentile score, shows you your child's work. It's fine. It's perfectly average. But she looks at you with that professionally sympathetic expression. She knows the score. Everyone knows the score. It's the first line in your child's digital file. We feel, she says, her voice gentle, that their talents would be best nurtured in the practical skills stream. It's a wonderful program. It focuses on tangible outcomes. Tangible outcomes, it's a beautiful euphemism for a life without ambition. You nod, you smile, you thank her for her dedication. You are a performer in a play that will run for the rest of your life. And the only audience that matters is the system. Always watching, always measuring your compliance. But the true corrosion happens within the walls of your own home. The silence of the car ride home never really ended, it just mutated. It became the foundation of your family's new language. You and your partner never speak of that day in the auditor's office. You call it the adjustment, or after the review. You talk around the black hole in the center of your lives, a gravitational force so strong it bends the light of every conversation. Your love for your child, a force you once thought was the purest thing in the universe, is now tangled with a dark, terrible pity. You watch them play, you help them with their homework, you read them bedtime stories, and every moment is tainted. You look at their face, perfect, innocent face, and you see the ghost of the life you stole from them. You see the doctor, they will never be the artist, they will never be the leader, they will never be. This guilt is a physical presence in your body. It is a low-grade fever that never breaks. It is the reason you work 2 jobs, scraping together every extra credit to put into a private savings account or a useless potato little rebellion against their preordained financial bracket. It is the reason your partner volunteers obsessively at the school, trying to buy their child a sliver of favor, a moment of a teacher's undivided attention. You are both serving a life sentence of atonement. The infidelity the system invented is now the most real thing in your marriage. It is a ghost that sleeps in the bed between you. Every time you argue about money, every time a moment of professional jealousy arises, the unspoken accusation is there. Your partner looks at you, and you know what they're thinking. Did you do this to us? Did your weakness, your failure, bring this curse upon our house? You, in turn, look at them and think, you believe it. You have to believe the system's lie because it's easier than believing the truth of what I did. But the real turning point, the moment the true, deep horror crystallizes, comes when your child is old enough to understand they don't learn it from a teacher or a bully. They learn it from the world. They learn it when their friend gets into the advanced science program and they don't. They learn it when their tablet defaults to the simplified, ad-supported educational software. They learn it from the way other adults look at them. One evening, they come to you. They are holding a toy, a cheap piece of plastic, because the high-end, complex construction sets are only available to the 40th percentile and above. They look at you. Their expression, not angry, not sad, but just confused. A deep, heartbreaking confusion. Why? They ask. Why is everything harder for me? You have rehearsed this moment in your mind 1,000 times. You have a script, You'll talk about how scores don't define a person, about hard work, about the dignity of all vocations. But you look into their eyes and the script evaporates because they ask the real question, the one you've been dreading since the moment you picked up that stylus. Was I born bad? They ask, did I do something wrong? Was I born bad? The question is a scalpel. It slices through the years of silence, through all the carefully constructed lies and evasions, and lays you bare. Your child is not asking the system. They are not asking their teachers. They are asking you, their creator, their God, and they are asking for the gospel. In this moment, you are no longer a parent. You are a theologian. You have to explain the nature of their soul in a universe designed by a cruel and indifferent algorithm. The real, factual truth. I did this to you. I gambled and lost, and your life is the price, is a truth that would shatter them. It would replace the system's simple, cold judgment with a hot, complex betrayal. It would turn you, their only refuge, into the source of all their pain. You cannot give them that truth, so you must invent a new one, a beautiful, perfect, and unforgivable lie. You kneel down. You are at their eye level. You are now physically in their world, a world seen from a lower vantage point. You take their small face in your hands. You force yourself to look directly into their eyes, to see the confusion and the fear that you put there. No, you say, and the word is a shard of glass in your throat. You were not born bad. You were born important. You were born necessary. You see a flicker of hope in their eyes, a child's desperate, infinite willingness to believe. And, you have them, you're about to commit the perfect crime, an act of loving sabotage. Look, you say, your voice a low, hypnotic whisper. You are channeling the soothing, reasonable tone of the portfolio manager, of the integrity auditor. You have learned the language of your captors. Some people are born to be the top of the building, the shiny parts, the penthouse, and they get all the sun, and everyone looks at them. That's their job. You pause, you let them picture it, but a building can't be all penthouse, can it? It would fall over. It needs a foundation, something strong and deep and solid that no one ever sees, but that holds everything else up. Without the foundation, the shiny parts would crumble into dust. The foundation's job isn't to be seen. Its job is to be strong, to be reliable, to hold. You gently tap their chest with your finger. You say, your voice breaking for just a second, we're born to be the foundation. That's what your number means. It doesn't mean you're bad. It means you're strong. It means you're the most important part of all. The lie is complete. It is a masterpiece. You have taken their prison and called it a holy duty. You have taken their disadvantage and called it a hidden strength. You haven't just taught them to accept their cage. You have taught them to love it, to be proud of it. And you see it happen. The tension in their small shoulders eases. The confusion in their eyes is replaced by a glimmer of understanding, of purpose. You have given them a story they can live with, a story in which they are not a mistake, but a martyr. You have saved them from the shame of the number by indoctrinating them into its deepest, most insidious logic. You have just become the most effective agent the Ministry of Potentiality has ever produced. You work for them now for free. You are the priest of your own child's diminished future. And in that moment, the love you feel is so vast and the self-loathing so absolute, they fuse into a single, searing emotion for which there is no name. We started this journey in a beige, sterile room with a simple question. What if a number could tell us who we are? We've seen the visceral reality, the black markets, the bureaucratic dread, the quiet implosion of a family, but the real horror was never in the ministry's office. It was in the kitchen, in the car. It was in that final, desperate lie told by a parent to a child, a lie that reframed a life sentence as a noble calling. The system doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be, it only needs to convince us to enforce it on ourselves. We are the audit. We are the ones who look at our children, at our partners, at ourselves, and ask, is the number good enough? Admit it. You've done it. You've looked at a test score, a job title, a bank balance, and you've passed a silent judgment. We are all practicing, we are all learning the language. The question is not whether a system like this is coming. The question is how much of it is already here, humming quietly in the background of our own lives. What beautiful, necessary lies are you telling your own children about the numbers that define their world? And when you tell them, who are you really trying to save?